Hey guys, welcome to this Linux course. We've seen a lot about file permissions, users and groups. So now let us look at these two commands which are really important and highly used commands, which is chmod and chown. Basically it's ch modifications and ch ownership. So these commands are highly used. Now let us look at these commands. So first, modifying permissions. Chmod is the command which you can use to modify the permission of a file or a directory. So you saw that read permissions were there, then write permissions and all that. So let's say you have a file and you have written it and you have saved it. Now you don't want anybody to write inside that file. Now you can basically change your file permissions and remove the write permission from that file so that even you cannot write inside that file unknowingly. So that's how you can use it. And to add or remove a permission, you can use plus or minus. So you can see some examples in the behind. You can see chmod u plus x 1.txt and doing an ls minus l 1.txt. Basically what it did is it removed or it added x over here and it removed x from both of these places. And then again chmod u minus x 1 minus txt. So basically this particular file did not have permissions already, so that's why it is showing that this place is empty. And then while removing minus x, that is execution, it removes x from every single place of this entire permission. So rw dash rw dash r dash dash. So x was removed from every single permission, that is the user permission, the group permission, as well as the other or process permission. And then another way to modify permissions are providing numbers. Now numbers, let's say 4 is read permission, 2 is write permission and 1 is execute permission. So here you can see RW and X. So RW and X. So the addition of RW and X is 7. That is 4, 2 and 1, which is 7. So now coming down, so you can see here chmod 7551.txt. So now what this would have done is 7 in the sense it is 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 7. That means give all reader access, and 5 means it is 4 plus 1. Then it is remove write access from group permissions and remove write access from other permissions. So that is what 755 means. And you can see here RWX, the read permissions has every single permission. The group permission does not have write, as I said, and even the other permissions does not have write, as I said. So now you can see here, but what is 755? There was no 7 or 5 over here. So now coming over here, 4 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 7. So all access is permitted. So that's what happened here in the first place, that is 7. Then 5, which is basically 4 plus 1 is equal to 5, read and execute permissions. So that's what was provided in the second and third options. But we did not use 6 over here. 6 basically provides read and write permissions and it does not provide execute permissions. So this is one more way to change it. One way is to use plus and minus, second way is to use numbers. Then ownership permission. Ownership permission is chown. So like modifying the file's permissions, we can also modify the users and groups ownership of the file, and for that we must use chown. So you can see here again ls minus l2.txt. So forget about the part where we saw the file permissions. Now just concentrate on this particular part, which is root and root, which are basically the ownership of this particular file. So 2.txt, you can see the ownership was with root and root. So now I wanted permission, so I used the command chown cody 2.txt, and you can see the change over here. So even as a user cody, I've got the permission to use this particular file called 2.txt. So this is how you can use chown, and there are some other ways of doing it. So now you can see here chown username, file name, ownership of file for user. So let's say I created a file, but let's say IntelliPad created a file, the user IntelliPad, and this particular user wants to give that permissions to IntelliPad 2 user. So now this particular user IntelliPad can simply provide chown IntelliPad 2 and file name, and the file permissions will be provided to that particular user. And then there is group and group name and file name. So group is basically changing the ownership of a group. So if you have created a group, you can use the command chgrp and group name and file name, so that that group has the file permissions. So let's say this 2.txt that particular file will have, so every user under that group will have permissions to either access or not access that file according to the permissions provided. And then chown username colon group name file name. So now both user and group at the same time. So let's say you want to give permissions to a user who's not in a group and also to the entire group. So now you can use this way of doing it. Own username colon group name file name. So this will give permissions to both to the user as well as the group. Now hands-on chmod and chown. Let us do this in the console. Let us proceed with the hands-on part. So let me open my, it's just a little bit slow. This is again, I'll just restart it. So I've restarted it. Okay, now let's get started with chmod and chown. I'll open the terminal, then we'll execute few examples of how you can use chmod and how you can use chown. Now let me first open the, so here we'll do this, we'll do the chmod part first. So I'll create a file, then after creating a file, we'll change some permissions and check whether it changes or not. And then we'll change the, and after that we'll use numbers to do that. And after that we'll use chmod to change the permission of a user as well as the permission of the group. So that we'll do. And now going back here, now opening the terminal. So first let me make this bigger again. So I made it bigger. Okay, so now let's start off with it. So first let me create a file touch. So as I told you, touch is just to create a file. I'm going to make it as hello.txt or just file1.txt. Yeah, I've created the file and there is a file file1.txt ls minus l. So this command will show me whether about the file permissions. So you can see it has read write permissions for users, read write permissions for the group, and only read permission for processes. So the user is IntelliPad and the group is also IntelliPad. So now I'm going to use chmod to change this. So chmod u plus x. This is just for the user, u plus x, and file1.txt. So done. Now again LSL. So now you can see I've added the execute permissions just for the user. So now let me do one more thing. Now I'll do for G for the group. Sorry. Now let us try. There it is. Yeah, so I've added it for the group as well. So now let me add the write permissions. Sorry, let me remove the write permissions from group. So done. So you can see I've removed the write permissions from the group, but I've provided the execute permissions. So now I want to remove write and provide only read for others or processes. So for that it is O and it is going to be, I'm going to remove R and I'm going to add W. I gave 0 instead of O. So done. So now if I do an ls, so now you can see I've provided only W, the write permissions for others or permissions, others or processes. So this is what I did using chmod. So now let's do one more thing. So now we'll give permissions using numbers. Now I'm giving 777. So what does 777 mean? 777 is basically providing every single permission to that file. So file1.txt. So now if you view it, now you can see this particular file has every single permission. So let me change it to 756. So what will this do? So this will basically make this, it will remove the write permissions from group, and this 6 will basically remove the execute permission from others. So let me enter and again do an LSL. So you can see it took off the write permissions and it took off the execute permissions. Now let us do one more thing. So I will remove the write permission from the user. So let's say our user is IntelliPad. So I'm going to remove the write permission from this file, which basically is 3. Only write, if I remove the write permission, it is basically 5, read and execute. So I'll give 5, 5, 6, it's going to be the same. So now, yeah, so only read and execute is there. Now let me open this file and you can see it is unwritable because the user does not have permissions. Coming back, let me change this once again. I'll provide write permissions as well as read and execute because they are already available. So now let me try nano again. So now I can write because I have provided the permissions to write. So this is how you can use chmod. So let me just close this. Okay, now we've done chmod. Let's do chown. So while I'm doing this, lsl file1.txt, you can see IntelliPad and IntelliPad over here. So this is the user and this is the group. So you get it, I guess. So now let us change the group which can access this file. So the chown and the group name. So first, I don't know the groups, so I'm going to grab. I'm just going to do a cat group. So it's IntelliPad 2, IntelliPad 3, IntelliPad. There are no other groups. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a group, sudo group add dev. I've created a group. So now let's try this once again. But this time I'm not going to cat. I'm going to grab dev. So a group is available. So we've created a group. Now we'll have to add users to this group. So I'm going to add IntelliPad. So sudo g password. So you'll have to provide this. For add it's -a. Then you'll have to provide the username, which is going to be IntelliPad, and then the group name, which is dev. So adding user IntelliPad to group dev, it's added. So now we can check by doing this, and it is added. We can see that over here. So now we've created a group and added it. Now let us change the permission of file. Yeah. So now let us change the permission of file1.txt. So this particular group IntelliPad is going to change to group dev. So to do that, it's simple chown. So we saw this file name, username and group name and file name. This is the syntax. You can provide the username over here, group name over here, and file name over here. So right now we just want to change the group name. So for that we can either give the group name like this, dev and file1.txt. So it needs. So now it has changed. Now let us check file1 once again. So now you can see IntelliPad and dev, the group name has changed. So we've done that. You also have another option to change that. So you can use this command, chgroup and group name. So now checking once again. So now you can see the group has been changed back to IntelliPad. So the same way you can also change the file owner. So chown and IntelliPad2. So now let's check. Now you can see the user has been changed to IntelliPad 2 because we changed the file ownership. So now let's do this nano file1.txt and do an ls. So you can see I created a wrong file. I have to open file1.txt. So you can see it is unwritable for me because I've changed the permissions to IntelliPad 2. That is another user. So right now I don't have permissions, but so let me change it once again. Sudo chown IntelliPad and file name. So now if I open file1.txt, I should be able to write. Yeah, because I'm the user who has permissions over this file right now. So I should be able to write. So done. So chown and chmod, these are the operations you can do with chown and chmod. It's very helpful and I think you can use this. So let me go back to the slides. We've done all these. Yeah. So thank you. We've done this session. Meet you in the next session.